Hello everyone, welcome into the Vine and the Veil. So today is Friday. It's Friday night. So I like to do my wine review today. So I post that on Instagram with a card pull. And I pulled the Queen of Swords. So as soon as I tasted the wine, and then I pulled that card, I was like, okay, this is resonating so much. Just because the wine is a red blend. So I never really know what to expect from a red blend. Sometimes they can be a little sweet, sometimes they can be a little, sometimes a little bitter. Sometimes it's a little mix of both. So when I first try it, I'm like, ooh, this is a little bitter. But then as the taste kind of sets in after, it's kind of like, okay, that was not very bitter. It's still kind of sweet, and that's why it's like a red blend. I'm not an expert, but that is just how I experience it. And when I pulled the Queen of Swords, it was like, yes, exactly that energy. The Queen of Swords, is someone who cuts through all of the illusions, who sometimes can even come off as like a little bitter. But like after you get to know the Queen of Swords, it's like, okay, she's bitter, or she's perceived as bitter, but she's not bitter. She's actually very wise, and she knows what she's talking about, and she has experience and knowledge, and she cuts through illusions. And I feel like this wine was perfect for that. Last week, I tried the Doña Dominga wine, and it's really, really good. It's not very bitter. It's a little sweeter, but not very, very sweet. It's very subtle, and I really, really, really love that wine. I have bought that wine a few times over again, and I get my wines from Costco. I used to go to Harris Teeter to get my wines, and I still do sometimes if I'm buying a gift for someone. I'll go to Harris Teeter if I'm dropping by really quickly. But otherwise, Costco is always my go-to. I love Costco. So anyway, let's get on with the reading. Today I have kind of like something a little bit planned out because I wanted to incorporate the wine and I wanted to incorporate the tarot. And already the Queen of Swords is bringing up this energy, especially with the Capricorn full moon that just passed, and we're still kind of in that energy of long-term planning. Where do I want to be in a few years? How am I doing right now? Things like that. I know that for me, I had to sit with very, not very tough emotions, but just emotions that like, I was feeling like an energy of like, oh, like it feels so heavy, things feel so heavy right now. And I was trying to like rationalize my emotions. Like, okay, why am I feeling this way if just yesterday I was feeling absolutely on top of everything and I was feeling amazing? And then I was like, let me just sit with this feeling of heaviness. Kind of, it's because I was kind of reflecting on everything that I've been through to get to where I'm at now. And I feel like you might be feeling that way as well. When you look back at your journey of where you started, you might be like, oh, like I'm not where I want to be. I'm still kind of laying brick by brick to get there. And it's like, you can stop and like, as cliche as it sounds, and smell the roses, like look at where you're at right now. Look at where you came from. And if you have goals, even if the goals weren't like super concrete, they were just kind of like coming as you flow through life. I think that's more than enough. You're like, well, let me silence the rest of the world out. Let me block all the noise, and let me just think about myself, because comparison is really the killer of joy, of your happiness. So I feel like for people who compare themselves to others, and if you're in that kind of environment where it's like a lot of competition and stuff like that, that can really get you down. But I feel like it's important to realize, look, I'm on my own soul journey, I'm on my own path in life, and depending on your age, how much you know in life, and how you were raised, and how you were conditioned, and how much indoctrination you might have, like, you you find a way, your soul finds a way, if you want to break out of that mold, you know? And I feel like that's just, yeah, a little intro to the reading today. I don't know where that came from. But let's see what the message is for today. Okay. And I love wine, so I will be taking a few sips of my wine, of the Hercules wine. Look at that. So we're opening with the Queen of Cups. And the Queen of Cups in this deck is like super interesting because she is someone who, you know, the Queen of Cups is somebody who is emotional, who wears their heart on their sleeve, who is very kind, very sweet with others, very nurturing, kind of like the Queen of Pentacles. I see the Queen of Cups and the Queen of Pentacles like really kind of alike. The only difference really is that like the Queen of Pentacles is somebody who is more like to herself, and she cares a lot about those in her circle. And that can be said about the Queen of Cups, but it's just such a different energy, I feel, you know? When I think of the Queen of Cups, I think of Cancer, the sign of Cancer. So, you know, oftentimes I see Cancers always care. They care so much about their family. They care so much about the friends that they truly love and that truly support them and have their back. It's a very like reciprocal energy. But sometimes with Cancer, you can see kind of like the martyr, you know, kind of like wanting to be a part of the group, wanting to be accepted, wanting to play a part, and wanting to be just kind of like this person that is seen as like, yeah, I will do this for you, and I will do the second and the third and the fourth and the fifth. And it can lead to this energy of like bitterness, you know, if, and this can apply to any sign and anyone, you know, like if you overburden yourself with others' emotions and with kind of just a lot of different responsibilities that people are taking advantage of you, it's almost like this card, you know, like this, the guy behind her is, I think it was killed by that boar in the back. I don't know if you can see the boar, but, and she's kind of just standing there like, well, like, okay, I'm gonna mourn you, but whatever. I think this is like getting pushed to the point where you're like, okay, well, I'm not gonna like hyper focus on a certain emotion. Do you know how sometimes, I don't know if it happens to anyone that's watching this, but if you hyper focus on a certain emotion or on something that's going on that's taking a hold of your mental space, you can throw yourself into a loop, into a rabbit hole, and essentially like spiral. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm getting for this card. And then this, I know this is blood, but I like to just imagine that it's like wine that's like spilling, you know? Yeah, I love this card. So let's see. So the lesson that we are learning here is the Ten of Pentacles. So on point with the Capricorn full moon, and then also, you know, the opposite sign, the sister sign of Cancer is Scorpio. Not Scorpio, excuse me. Capricorn. And the Ten of Pentacles is building legacy, building wealth, building your name, your career, your family life, what you do for a living, and what you do for, you know, your livelihood, and your skills that you build upon, certificates that you get, degrees and stuff like that. And so I feel like this is really teaching us, okay, I am not going to sacrifice everything of myself in order to get to this Ten of Pentacles here. Like, I know where I can put my energy. You know, I know that I put intention into everything that I do. So if I am going to talk to somebody, am I going to be cordial with them? Are they an acquaintance? You know, where are my boundaries? Like, if they came and asked me to do something for them, hey, can you do me a favor? And it's like, one, I don't know who you are. How polite can I be with you? you know, what kind of person are they, you know, and you get to know somebody, you get to know your own boundaries, you get to know what the other person is like, and maybe you even get to know them for a couple of years, you know, or you don't get to know who they actually are until a couple of years, because some people can be quite deceiving. So I'm kind of getting like, okay, to build this security in my life, to build this career in my life, or even a relationship, you know, I'm not going to completely sacrifice myself, because how can I get to the 10 of Pentacles? How can I get to this abundant and the pinnacle of physical reality if I can't even like understand my own emotions and understand like how others are, how they can affect my emotions and how I can affect them, you know, empathy and sympathy and whatnot, things like this. So I feel like right now this is pretty important. Okay, now let's look at what step we should take. Okay. So we have the Nine of Swords. Typically, excuse me, you guys. Typically, the Nine of Swords is what? Like, it's anxiety, sleepless nights. It's being so defensive to the point that you don't let anyone or anything into your life, you know? And, you know, Medusa's in this card, and Medusa turns people into stone, you know? You would take one look at her, and it was like, oh my god, like, you get turned into stone, and that's that, you know? And I feel like rather than closing yourself off to life and to what life has to offer you, it's important to see what it is that you want out of life, and be like, okay, I don't have to be extremely guarded towards everyone. I can open myself up, but if I see something I don't like and that I'm not okay with living every day, and I'm not okay, it does no good for my health. It does no good for my nervous system, because you know, whether you're a man or a woman watching this, you know, anyone can be victim to certain dynamics in relationships that over time will affect you and attack your nervous system. So, you know, you go to the doctor and you're like, hey, I feel X, Y, and Z, you know, like, I feel so tired. I don't know why I'm gaining so much weight, or I don't know why I'm losing so much weight. Like, it's not normal. My brain, something's off. You know, you just feel off. You go get the x-rays done. You go talk to the doctor. You get things maybe prescribed, and you never get better. And you start realizing, okay, like, I'm not getting better. Like, what is it in my life? It's kind of like having a blindfold and not seeing that it might be the people around your life, and most importantly, not to put blame on others. It's you not having respect for your own boundaries. And I know that sounds really tough and really really harsh for some people, you know, but for your own good and for the good of humanity, I say that, because you know, like, not having respect for yourself and letting people walk all over you, even if you try to justify it, you know, if your first instinct says, I'm not okay with this, I'm not okay with how someone's treating me, I'm not okay with how I feel at this job, I'm not okay with like what's going on around me or this certain situation, and you stay there, karmically, you know, you will end up becoming like Medusa. Now, Medusa went through some really really tough things that she never asked for. And I'm just saying that because, of course, there are situations where you kind of have like no control over what happens, you know? And that is really tough and like tricky to bring up in conversation with people, because it's like, I didn't deserve that, you know, you didn't deserve that. Why did this happen to me? Why did that happen to you, you know? And it's kind of like, yeah, like it is tough. It is, you're not crazy for having this anxiety. for maybe feeling like this. You know, maybe some of you came out of a relationship that you guys just noticed like, this is really bad for me. This is not serving my highest good. This is not going to take me to where I want to go in life. If I have this person in my life, it's like baggage, you know? How am I ever going to make it to where I want to be if this person or this situation is holding me back and bringing me down, and I feel defensive all the time. You know, if you feel defensive all the time and you feel negative, or you feel like really like bogged down, that can stop a lot of good things from coming in your life. And that is true. Once you start genuinely changing your mindset and how you feel good about something, you start reflecting on the things that you're working on. And you kind of think like, okay, these things that are nourishing me and that are going to stabilize me and that will ascend me to this 10 of Pentacles, health-wise, career-wise, relationship-wise, you know, they're actually good for me. You know, maybe, you know, okay, I'm just having this thought right now, so some of you could resonate with this, but like, it could be that in your life you were thinking, oh, it's X, Y, and Z's reason why I'm like this. This is the reason why I'm like this. Like, yeah, it's that right there. It's my career. Or yeah, it's that person right there. But it actually was never that person or never that career that was doing it to you. Let's say you got rid of certain individuals from your life, or maybe you cut out bad foods from your diet. Yeah, let's use like the diet example. So let's say you were used to eating lots and lots of junk food and you drink soda every single day, and you don't feel so good, and then one day you just kind of cut those things out, and you know, for the first couple of months maybe, or maybe a couple of weeks, you might feel horrible. You might, you know, your skin might start purging,